Are we adding to the Bible with Lashawan Qadash? Are we violating Deuteronomy 4 and 2 by Lashawan Qadash, the Israelite modern invention of a language um, coined Lashawan Qadash? We're going to talk about it today. First and foremost, let's start this off by giving all praises to the Most High. We want to give all praises to the Most High. Are we adding to the scripture with the pronunciations that certain Israelites utilize the proponents of said Lashawan Kodash with Yahweh Shai, with Shalom, with the water, Yasha Allah? We proved in the last class that Yasha Allah, the Allah at the end, is invoking inadvertently the God of Islam, invoking the God of Islam. We proved that with the last class. We showed in the Bible how power, or the generic term for God, means El. That's how you pronounce it, El, not Allah. We went into the founder of the Lashawan Qadash, as it's proposing to be the ancient Paleo Hebrew. So today I just want to give a warning to the people to really examine yourself and what we're doing. Let's go ahead and share this though. Let's go ahead and share this before we get started. Hit that like button. I'm going to share this everywhere. Let me make sure I share this everywhere. All praise to the Most High. I'm excited for this class, though. This is going to be edifying, and I just have to put some disclaimers out there. I have to put some disclaimers out there for surely that although we're talking about the language, and after that, we'll talk about pronunciation, I do want to say that by and large, Um, this is a secondary. This is a secondary uh issue. It's not a primary issue, it's a secondary issue. Do I believe that one could obtain salvation not knowing the language? Absolutely. But can you also sin in dealing with the language? Yes. For example, our dear beloved brothers at IUIC, they say you can't wear zeets, but because they don't deal with the Hebrew. But when you look at the Hebrew, the word for fringes is zitzit. So can it be a stumbling block? Can it possibly cause someone to error? Absolutely. Can you try to force your pronunciation on what's already written and end up swapping consonants, adding consonants, and taking away consonants? Absolutely. That's true as well. So let me share this again. I'm going to share this on my Instagram, and then we're going to get started. I'm going to share this on my Instagram, and then we are going to get started. Let's go. All right. All praises. I hope everybody's having a good day out there. Everybody stay safe. These roads are treacherous. I promise you. These roads are treacherous. These roads are treacherous, y'all. Who's seen that David Benavidez fight? Who's seen that David Benavidez fight? I've seen a little bit of the Inoue fight. I know Terrence Crawford was in there. He fell asleep during the Inoue fight. I'm not saying Inoue is boring, but he has all his fights over there in Japan at dang 5 in the morning our time. So maybe Terrence Crawford could have fell asleep because he's on American time, specifically Midwest time, or maybe Inoue is just not that entertaining. um, to me, he's still a hype job in a way. Um, it's not his fault that he doesn't have anybody in his weight division that can give him some action, but do what Terrence Crawford did, do what Floyd Mayweather did, do what Manny Pacquiao did, do what David Benavidez is doing right now. Move up and wait. Move up and wait and earn your respect. Move up and wait and earn your respect. Okay, let me share this in all the TGC chats. Let me share this, not all the chats, but Okay. Share this in the TGC chat, and we're gonna kick this thing off. All praises to the Most High. All right. So, with that being said, my brothers and sisters, let me share my screen and we're going to get right into the information. We're going to get right into the information, y'all. Share screen. Boom. All right. Let's get right into the information. So, that prayer sheet, let's take a look at the chat real quick. That prayer sheet that we got, if we order clothing from the community, we should throw that away. I don't know who gave you a prayer sheet. All praise to the Most High. Good to see you, priest. Been a long time, 7 years. All praise to the Most High. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Are you violating Deuteronomy 4 and 2 by using the Lashawan Qadash? Let me show my screen real quick because I have this right here. A particular individual put this out for the community, the Hebrew Israelite Bible with the so-called Paleo Hebrew. So I've been able to reference a lot of the Hebrew words, quote unquote, that some of the community believes to be actually the proper pronunciation of ancient Paleo Hebrew. Shalom, shalom, my brothers. Shalom, my sisters as well. All praises. I appreciate you too, brother. We need each other. All praises. J Dub's in the building, brother Dwayne in the building. All good, y'all. Make sure y'all like the video. All praises. So, are you violating Deuteronomy 4 and 2 by using the Lashawan Qadash? That's the question of the day, y'all. Can this turn into a borderline violation and outright violation? Well, let's just take a look at it, y'all. And you you determine it for yourself. Of course, I'm going to sway you and not sway, but explain the information and how it could be so. Deuteronomy 4 and 2 states, you shall not add to the word that I command you, nor take from it, that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God that I command you. So now we have a decree that the Most High tells us. Now you can say, oh, that's talking about the commandments. Don't add any new commandments. Well, you wouldn't even understand the commandments if you go into the actual written Hebrew and start taking away letters, adding letters, and swapping letters. In no world or so-called religion or community would that be okay. But in One West, it's okay. Why? Because all they need is internal verification. They don't care about anything else. So let's deal with this real quick, right? Consonants. Before we go layers, let's peel back the layers. Consonants are the actual letters that make up the Hebrew text, right? Like the yod, the ayin, the vav, forming the fixed structure of every word, while vowel markers were added later, only as pronunciation guides. And this is what you guys are going to learn today. You're going to learn that although we did not have, this is going to be undeniable proof, like I proved with last class with the name Yahweh Shai. So you guys are going to learn that what Lashawan Qadash believed to be only a written language with no vowels spoken is going to show the opposite. It's going to show that these consonants can act as vowels and carry over as vowels without the diacritic marks, without the vowel markers that came in 600 AD. We're going to show you that. If Lashawan Qadash pronunciation system requires moving those letters or inserting new ones that aren't in the text, it's no longer just pronunciation. It's altering the written word itself. What do I mean? So we have the Dead Sea Scrolls, we have ancient manuscripts, and we have those characters there. We have those letters. The consonants are non-vowels, right? And so what a One West Israelite would do will say, no, we have to. Our pronunciation is right. So I know Ezra wrote that. I know the Israelites at the Qumran caves wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls. I know we have these ancient manuscripts, but we got to scratch those out and put some other letters in there. Where's that okay? Why is that okay? That's where the concern comes in because Deuteronomy 4:2 warns not to add or take away from the words, and changing the consonantal structure goes beyond preservation into modification. They're now modifying ancient texts to force fit their modern in pronunciation into the Bible. Before we proceed, I want to say this: knowing the proper Hebrew won't grant you salvation, but not knowing proper Hebrew can cause you to sin by not knowing the proper understanding of the law, of certain laws. Also, using a modern invention like LQ can cause you to sin by adding to the Torah. Let's just prove how they do that. Now, this is Abba Bivens. Abba Bivens is the founder of the Lashawan Qadash. They also say that he's Elijah, he's John the Baptist. This is one of his oldest speech. This is the oldest recordings we have of Lashawan Qadash. We have nothing prior to that. Nothing. I'm still waiting for somebody to.
I'm going to tell you this word Israel. It's say they take you, but let's get started out. Yah means he, started is been, and all stand for Allah. He's a prince of Allah, a prince of God, if you want to say it in English. And this is what it is. We're princes. God is the king of the earth, and we are the princes.
Okay.
So as you see the transcript on the left, he says Yasha'el. It should be pronounced Yasha'Allah. This is what he says. That is the beginning that we hear of this particular language called the Lashawan Qadash from the Israelite One West persuasion. Let's continue. So the only proof, they say the only proof that they have is by faith. Why? Imagine any other people on the planet saying, we believe Chinese is our ancient language because of faith. We believe Sanskrit is our ancient language because of faith. We believe Arabic is our ancient language because of faith. Why is it only One West Black Israelites that take the stance of, yeah, it's just by faith that we believe in, the language? No proof. No evidence, no proof.
In Hebrew, like for example, Gabar, that's Hebrew for warrior. Now, could we be wrong? Yeah, we could be wrong. Now, could we be wrong? Yeah, we could be wrong. Now, could we be wrong? Yeah, we could be wrong. And tell you the way we speak it is based upon faith. The way we speak it is based upon faith. The way we speak it is based upon faith. When you say the Most High's name, Yahweh.
The way they speak it is based upon faith, not proof, not scholarship, not academics, not anything substantial, not a stitch of evidence out of the mouth of the elders. So let's explain this again. Consonants are basically non-vowel letters, non-vowel Hebrew letters. This is the Paleo script up top, and this is the square script on the bottom. They're the same. For all you Israelites saying, I got to slow down because I was once like this as well. So I got to slow it down and break it down on a rudimentary level. For you Israelites saying when the script changes, the language changes, that's not true. Even your elders are going to tell you that the square script is just fancier letters. Same language, different scripts. Same language, different scripts. The square script is just fancier letters. They're created and to be fancier than the old paleo ones. So it's the same language, different scripts. Think of it as this: English in cursive, same language, different script. If you write your name in English and you write your name in cursive, it looks differently, but it's gonna what, everybody? Sound the same. Same thing with medieval English. The old King's English and medieval English is the same language, different script. Here's the elders of One West. They agree that the scripts are different, but the language is the same. Hold on. Where's my video?
The basic Hebrew alphabet. Now, that's the first letter of the alphabet, which is Ah. Oh, I got something for you. The next letter is Ba. All right, or what they call B. The next is Ga. The next is Da. Ha. Wa. Za. Now, when you go down to the Assyrian, once you understand that, the characters are a little fancier, but this is the Assyrian. So you got Ah, Ba, Ga, Da, and so forth. All right.
So he tells you that the words are a little bit, the letters are a little bit fancier. That's it. Same script, different language. Now let's just show you guys how One West pronunciation of Hebrew, this Lashawan Qadash, it actually adds to the Bible, the Torah, the script, and it takes away as well. So they say it's Yahushua, and they say that equals to Yehoshua or Yeshua. There's already a problem with that because Yehoshua is the long form, Yeshua is the shorter form of actual Hebrew. They have yet to tell us what is the shorter form of Yahushua. So LQ says the proper Hebrew pronunciation of the Messiah's name is Yahushua. This is where they violate Deuteronomy 4 and 2. Why? I'm going to explain. The Hebrew text renders the name like so. You have the Yod, and at the beginning, you have the ayin at the end. Remember, Hebrew's read from right to left. The Messiah's name ends with an ayin consonant letter. If the name was pronounced Yahushai, a Yod consonant letter would have to be at the end of the word to give it the shy sound. This is a problem, everybody, because they have to go into what's written in the text and say, no, an ayin shouldn't be at the end of right there. You got to, a Yod is supposed to be there. Scholars who I have spoken to personally, who can confirm this, Yod has to be at the end for the shy sound. Dr. Michael Brown, Dr. Tudor Parfit, who is a student of Briggs Lexicon, who all Israelites use, Jedediah Malek, Brother Dr. Divine Prospect. I talked with Zion Lex about a lot of this. So any scholar from any race is going to agree. Right? Jacinius, which we brought out last class as well. So the Messiah's name does not end with Yod, it ends with an ayin. This isn't pronunciation. This is what we see in the text. It ends with an ayin, not a Yod. They're saying what we are reading in the Dead Sea Scrolls, what we see in the Dead Sea Scrolls is wrong. What we see in the Masoretic text is wrong. That's a problem. All right. So let's continue. Oh, and this presentation is also in the description box. Free presentation in the description box. Go download the link and study this for yourself. But let me tell you why Israelites were confused and thought that the ayin consonant gave the I sound. Because it looks like an I. The ayin in pictograph. So the ayin originally meant I, like what you see out of as pictograph. It functions as a consonant letter, not a vowel sound. So the symbol does not determine the pronunciation. One West Israelites, being so primitive mentally, thought that, oh, we see it's an I symbol, so it must give the I sound. Majority of ancient pictograph languages do not work like that. So that's a flaw or a misunderstanding by being oblivious and ignorant to the language and the rules of it. The fact that we can look at transliterations, I'm going to show y'all this, the proof. The fact that we can look at transliterations and prove this, the fact we can look at transliterations prove this as well. Remember, everybody, what is transliterations? They're basically like a tape recorder of how names sound in other languages. The sound is preserved when it's carried over to another language. So transliterations can be compared to tape recordings from the ancient world to verify how we are to pronounce today. That proves, everybody, that the ayin does not give the I sound. Transliterations prove that the ayin doesn't give the I sound. Watch, I don't want to jump the gun here. Now remember, names are transliterated, not translated, meaning the sound carries over to other languages. You're not going to translate a name. Sometimes you do, but that's not how you address people. You transliterate their name. So here's the Septuagint. The way it renders the Messiah's name in Hebrew, it transliterates it as Iesu, Iesus. That is the Greek equivalent of Yeshua, Yeshua. And the Vulgate follows with Iesus, both reflecting a pronunciation like Yehoshua, Yeshua, not shy at the end. If they heard a shy, then they would have said the psi word at the end. The Greek can say psi and the Latin Vulgate can say psi, but they didn't. Showing you that the ayin does not create that sound, the yod does. So Greek even has a sh approximate sibilants and ways to represent an E sound or an I sound, yet it never produced a shy sound ending, and instead preserves a final vowel sound, Yeshua. This shows that the ancient transliteration tradition did not understand the name as ending in a shy sound, but as a form consistent with the Hebrew ending ayin, not yod. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand that. I hope it's crystal clear. And like the video, y'all. Let's get this in the algorithm. Maybe it'll wake some of our brothers and sisters up to the fallacious claims that they propagate and perpetuate. So they have to say the Hebrew text is wrong, and a yod should be at the end of the Messiah's name. And also they have to take out the ayin letter, thus violating Deuteronomy 4 and 2. This is an example, everybody. Look, let's say on the left-hand side, this is actually what's in the Hebrew text, the Hebrew Bible on the left. But because their pronunciation is different than that, then they're going to say, no, let's take that middle letter out and we got to put this letter there to fit our modern invention of the Lashawan Qadash. That's a problem. Number 2, Lashawan Qadash says, this is how you say Amos. Imawas. Imawas. Yeah, they say the way you say Amos. Yeah, nah. who do I sound like, y'all? Yeah, nah, nah. Shout out Charleston White. But yeah, no, they say Imos. Imawas is how you say Amos. Imawas is how you say Amos. No lie. Let's deal with that. Not only does the LQ add to what's in the Hebrew here, in the Hebrew text with this rendering, this also disproves the LQ claim that there's no O vowel sound in the spoken language of ancient Hebrew. This is killing 3 birds with 1 stone right now. Not only does this show they add and take away from what's already written, but this is going to show you guys that the LQ says there's no O sound in the spoken language. The Hebrew text for Amos, this is how you pronounce it here. And I'm sorry, these are the consonants rather. Just take a look at the consonants. The ayin, the mem, the wav, and the semek, which we get the s. It's 4 consonants, everybody. The LQ form, Imawas, starts with an I sound. But the text does not begin with the yod. The letter normally associated with the I sound or the E sound. What are we doing here? In order for I'm a was to be right, it would have to start with the yod. But it starts with the ayin. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Shalom.
What's going on, brother? You just put me back on screen right when I was about to dig in my nose.
I was saying you about to dig in your nose. My bad. I didn't mean to do that.
Oh man, we just cooking with hot grease. It's about to get worse.
Oh,
Y'all like and share the video. It's about to get turned up. So if I'm a was is being treated as the true spelling pronunciation, it effectively makes ayin act like a yod, adding a sound not reflected in the consonantal text, raising the Deuteronomy 4:2 problem of adding to what is written. Huh? So that's a problem. Yod does not begin with the word Amos, but Lashawan Qadash is saying it's Imawaz. So they're saying we need to scratch that ayin letter and put the yod letter there. That's adding and taken away. Imawaz requires adding aleph and yod that are not in the original Hebrew text, expanding it from 4 consonants to 6. Again, you guys, this isn't even an argument of pronunciation. You can say, well, we might have different pronunciations. No, this is them taking the Dead Sea Scrolls in the ancient text and saying, scratch that letter out and scratch that letter out and add this letter there.
Yeah, I want to just make sure everybody truly understands that that's.
I don't think they do.
Because people are going to try to say this is a tomato level, misunderstanding or difference. No, it's not. This is not a tomato. This is not comparing a tomato to a tomato. This is comparing a tomato to a, chicken wing. There's something completely different.
Yeah, because they're winging it.
Well, yeah, there you go. So what they're literally having to do, what I won't even say they, what we in the past, obviously we didn't know this information yet, but in order for this position to be true, you would have to literally say that the individuals who are writing these words, the Most High who's speaking these words, that they don't know how to spell, and that you truly know how to spell Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
Have you played the clip yet?
Yeah, I played it already. It's all good. We can come back to it. So you see that, y'all. They see it's 4 consonants in the Bible. They have to add 2 more in the Bible to that and say, no, the ancient scribes, the Israelites at the Qumran caves and Ezra, they all wrote it down wrong. That's essentially what they're saying, everybody. That the scribes who wrote the Bible wrote some of the words down wrong. Transliterations also prove how the word sounds in ancient languages, preserving their pronunciation. In the Greek Septuagint, it literally has AM long OS. It doesn't have Imawaz. It literally has AM long OS, disproving their pronunciation, and they try to say that there's no vowel sounds in the spoken language. How'd they get an O sound and an A sound, not just an A sound, an A sound in the transliteration? The Latin Vulgate literally has AMOS. It's literally the same as English. That shows you how the English scholars, the English translators of that Bible, these scholars, that they understood that they could match English words close to how the pronunciation sounded in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. Because you got in English it's Amos, in Greek it's Amos, in Latin Vulgate it's Amos, and in Hebrew it's Amos.
Where are these translators? Where are they getting this from? They're just making this up? Is that what we're supposed to believe? There's this grand conspiracy amongst all scholars of all ages. They all, once they receive their doctorate or their master's in whatever respective language, they all go to some hidden room and say, hey, listen, you guys, so there's this Lashawan Qadash, and we absolutely do not want these black people to figure it out. So what you're going to do is instead of saying Imawaz, you're going to say Amos. And tens of thousands of scholars over the past 2,000 years, they've all gotten this talk. Come on, you guys.
Sir, transliterations disprove what you're saying. Can it be possibly through possible vowel carrying the slapper? Yes, but when we look at transliterations, like we're proving, why didn't we see that with the A-N at the end of Yehoshua? We didn't hear the I sound or the E sound. Now, look at this comment. Somebody says, wow, so y'all are going back and debunking what you used to believe in. Interesting. So should we stay?
Yeah, should we lie?
Should we stay believing a lie, or stay when we find some information that's true, we should keep teaching a lie? No, that's what majority of Israelites do. We're not going to do that, though. Majority of Israelites are doing that. That's a fact, though. All right, let's continue. So both Greek and Latin reflect the Hebrew and preserve the old sound, showing the ancient readers did not understand the name as Imawas, but as Amos. And guess what, everybody? The Greek and Latin could have gave the sounds Imawas, but they did not. Now, they say ah and I are the only sounds in the Hebrew language. This is just not true.
This is the only, at all these, right, this is the only character that has a different sound than any of the rest of the 22 characters, all right? Because you got two sounds, two vowels. You got and you got I. Once you understand and I, that's the whole Hebrew language.
Man, come on, guys. Can you think of any other language on the planet Earth that's like that, where everyone is just going, I. Abagar, habashaba. Come on, you guys. You guys.
What if I stub my toe and be like, ow?
What did you say? That's not even a real word. Ow. Nigga, don't you know that there's only A's and I's?
Ooh, oh. I see a woolly mammoth. Oh. Right. So let's just disprove that, right? Well, we already disproved that because we got the O sound in Amos. What am I talking about? But I want you guys to remember that. The O sound in Amos just disproved Lashawan, Qadash. Now, number 3. They say Nawak is how you get Noah. Nawak is how you get Noah. Huh? Okay, if that's the case, Lashawan Qadash is really adding to the Bible yet again. The Hebrew name for Noah is literally just 2 consonants. 2 consonants. The nun and the het or the kit. There is no wa in the spelling. A form like Nawak introduces a w sound, which would normally correspond to a vav or wa, but that consonant is not present in the Hebrew text. Anybody can go look up Noah right now. I think I have it on the next. I didn't pull up the visual. Anybody can look up Noah right now in the Bible. It's only 2 consonants. If it was Nawak, it had to be 3. So they're saying, yeah, God was wrong again. And these men who are inspired by the Holy Spirit were wrong again. They forgot to add 1 more consonant in the middle. Ancient transliterations confirm this simpler structure. The Septuagint renders the name as Noé. The Vulgate as Noé, or sometimes No. Both preserve a form like Noah or Noé without any wa sound or additional consonant, reflecting the original Hebrew more directly. Everybody understand that? Well, the slapper, One West Lashawan Qadash, they don't teach that. listen, since the 1960s, I got all these names and images pulled up. They'd say it's Nawak. So the original Hebrew has Noah, and both the Septuagint and Latin Vulgate reflect that by preserving a form without the w sound, Nawak introduces a consonant not present in the text. That would be 3 letters. What we see in the Bible is 2 letters. And what we see from the Septuagint and Vulgate is Noah, showing you that they have to add to what's in the Bible. And we see vowel sounds in the spoken language through transliteration. This is the Latin Vulgate and the Greek Septuagint, clearly showing Noah. Example of what they're doing. They're changing what's actually in the text. We have to continue to overemphasize that, Hassad. They have to change what's actually written in the text. If they see on the left that the text says that, Lashawan Qadash, because it's improper, and they force it on the text, they have to scratch out the letters that's already written. Now, Simeon is Shemaiwan? That just sounds crazy. Simeon or Simone. Some say Simone, some say Simeon. It's really Simone. Is Shemaiwan? Shemaiwan does not preserve the original consonant structure. It adds letters, removes letters, and breaks the root. Simone or Shimon. You see the consonants. Now, how do you get Shemaiwan? How do you get Shemaiwan? We have a Shimon, we have a Shimonite in the building right now. Shout out Kashael. If we try to force it into Hebrew style consonants, it would look something like this. Shema Yawan. What does it do? It matches partially. It matches partially, but then you have some adding, some shifting, and then characters that are actually just missing. Is this bad Bible? Yes. Is it also bad linguistics? Yes. But is it something that you guys can fix and it's not hard to do if you're saucy like barbecue? Yes. The key problems, the ion is gone or replaced. That's a real consonant, not optional. It carries the root meaning to hear. They have an extra yod, not an original word at all. Structure is altered. The original is tight, Shimon. That's it. 2 syllables. So when you actually line up the Greek and Latin evidence, they don't support a sound like Shemaiwan. They consistently point back to Shimon. And that limits how far you can stretch it. Look at what the Greek Septuagint says. Simeon or Simone. It could have said Shemaiwan. The Latin Vulgate simply says what's in the English, literally. Simone. Nowhere near do we get anything close to Shemaiwan. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all understand that. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand that. And hit that like button, y'all. We appreciate it. Did we hit 10,000? We hit 10,000 subscribers in a few months. All praises. We're about to chase down our old channel. It took me about 5 years to get 40,000 subscribers on pre-Genesis mode. I'm guessing it'll probably take us about a year to get 50K through the spirit of the Most High.
Yeah, we're on the road to 25. That's the next goal, everybody. So make sure y'all subscribed. If you're not, you are going to hell. Just want to let you know.
With gasoline draws on. Now, number 5. The Bible tells us what the Hebrew tongue sounds like, and it's nothing close to the LQ. You know when the Bible says, and he spake in the Hebrew tongue, And then they write it in Greek. They write out how it sounded in Hebrew.
This is such a bomb.
Revelation 16:16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. You can pick it up from here, Hassad.
Yeah, and I want to just reiterate, what is a transliteration? They're basically writing down sounds. That's what's going on. So let me say something like, okay, if there's any Asian people watching, I speak Japanese, all right? So I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but just let me give you guys an example you all can understand. How people make fun of Asian people by saying they sound like Chan and Ching Chong, whatever. If they said Ching Chong, and if you were to transliterate that, you would write CHINGCHONG, Ching Chong. You're writing down what you hear. When people are transliterating words, they're taking the sounds, how that word sounds in its respective language, putting it basically through a blender, and then presenting it in the language that they're transliterating it into. So when the author of Revelation says, which in the Hebrew tongue is called Armageddon, that's carrying over the sounds from Hebrew into then Greek and English. Lashawan Qadash says Harmagadawan. Harmagadawan. Does it sound, does Harmagadawan sound like Armageddon? No. If it said Harmagadawan, do you know what they would have said? Something that sounds like Harmagadawan. Padawan, or you know what I mean? Got a bomb. But they didn't say nothing like that. So Revelation 16:16 literally says, like it literally says this objectively. It literally says the place is called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. So this is in the 1st century Revelation when it's written. Some people date it to, I believe most people date it to like 90 AD. I think somewhere around that time. Some people give it earlier or later. Point being, it's in the 1st century. So the Hebrew that's being referenced here would have been the same Hebrew that the Messiah spoke. Same Hebrew that the Messiah spoke. It's called Armageddon. Not Harmagadawana. Not iguana. It says, and then gives the name in Greek as Harmageddon. Isn't it interesting that in the Greek and in the Hebrew, they both sound similar? Because they're translating it from Hebrew into Greek and using whatever sounds. Huh? Sorry, I said translate. They're transliterating this Hebrew word into Greek and using the sounds in Greek that best corresponds with that Hebrew word. So that way you can still pronounce the word and it sounds something similar. Like in the last class I gave mention, like, I'm not going to give you guys my government name. Some of you guys know my government name. Anyway, my government name is Drayden, right? And there's no der in Japanese. That sound does not exist, der. But a do sound does exist. So when my name is transliterated in Japanese, it's do re den, carrying the sound of my English name into that respective language. That's what's going on here in Revelation. That's what's going on throughout the whole Bible. But in particular, this is a great example here in Revelation. Armageddon is the Hebrew. In Greek, when it's transliterated, when it goes through the transliteration filter, it's Harmageddon. Still carrying the essence of the sounds in the next language. Not Harmagadawan. Doesn't exist. That shows the writers didn't leave pronunciation to guessing. They preserved how it sounded by transliterating it into another language. And let me know if am I going on too much of a rant?
No,
right now?
you're good.
Okay, I missed the clip, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, especially in light of, I want to say this. Sometimes we laugh, about some of this stuff, and we can only do that because otherwise we would just cry. We would literally be on here crying, me and Priest would, because we believed in this for a large portion of the last 10 years, taught this for a large portion of the last 10 years. And, by the grace of God, I've now come to the understanding that this is not correct. And so we take no joy in, do you think people like for myself, for example, like I like saying, yeah, I was wrong for years. You think I like saying that? No, but now it comes to a point where, hey, I have to either admit that I'm wrong and choose to do the right thing or continue to lie. And obviously, I'm going to choose the former as opposed to the latter. But the point being, excuse me, the point being, this is very clear. It says that the writers didn't leave it up to guessing. This is what I wanted to make mention of. I was unfortunately not here at the time in which Priest played the clip of Elder Apostle Tahar of Great Millstone saying that they believe in this language. Is that what he said, by faith?
Yep.
You guys, I want you guys to seriously think about this. I'm going to try to slow down because I talk fast. He said that he believes in a language by faith. Can you guys think of any other language on the face of the planet Earth, in the history of the planet Earth, where you just have to say, well, I believe in it? Could you imagine going to, Afghanistan, you find some local Afghani and say, rah, 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 and your friend looks at you and says, what the hell are you talking about? And you just say, oh, shit, I don't know. I believe it sounded Arabic.
This is it right here.
Like, for example, Gabar, that's Hebrew for warrior. Now, could we be wrong? Yeah, we could be wrong. Now, could we be wrong? Yeah, we could be wrong. Now, could we be wrong? Yeah, we could be wrong. And tell you, the way we speak it is based upon faith. The way we speak it is based upon faith. The way we speak it is based upon faith. When you say the Most High's name, your house.
Okay, hey everyone, can you? I need you guys to get a little interactive. What language am I speaking right now? Type it in the chat. What language am I speaking?
Well, I believe by faith you're speaking English.
Right. What? I believe it sounds English. No, it's English. You know it's English. You don't have to believe it. You know it's English based on the sounds that I'm communicating, the words that I'm saying. You don't have to, I believe. Bro, that doesn't make any sense. Linguistics is not a matter of theology. It's things that they literally tangibly exist. It's not like, I believe in angels. I've never seen one. Bro, we're looking at English right now. Languages actually exist in the real world, bro. I believe, could you guys imagine that? Imagine a nigga come up to you and saying, I believe I speak English. I believe that's
I believe by faith I speak English.
Like, come on, guys. Bro. It's what? Sister Lauren is in the chat. She said that's like when the Christians say when they're speaking in tongues. That's bro. All right. I don't want to be disrespectful. You're speaking in tongues. That's what you're doing. That's what it sounds like. I'm guilty of this, and so I can say it. Bro, okay, maybe I'm giving away too much. Yo, these past probably 6-7 months ago, when we were doing the Lord's Prayer, it got to a point where it's like, what's someone help me out? What's some of the words in the Wahapatha Araf? It's like, I don't know. I don't know about Wahapatha Araf. I don't know about that. Well, I will amima. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that one, man. And so let me stop before I go too much. I'm sorry.
No, you're clocking there too.
Oh,
okay, let's keep going.
Wait, that's not. Oh, whoa. Yep, we're gonna go.
Okay. Okay, so now that we got the laughs and giggles out the way, Hassad has to use the restroom. Any questions before we move on? Any questions before we move on here? Any questions? If not, this Armageddon being I can't even say it. Harmageddon. I know MAG is in there, so Trump would like it. MAG is in there, so Donald Trump will be a fan. Okay, there we go. We got some Hebrew words. We got some Paleo Hebrew scholars in here. Abanawa, Shabbat, Shamayim, Qadash, Hashamka, Yahweh Malak Wathka. Crazy work. All right, go ahead, Hassad.
So let me finish this part. It says, This shows the writers didn't leave pronunciation to guessing. They didn't have to guess. Well, I believe, through faith, I think it's Harmagadawan. They preserved how it sounded by transliterating it into another language. What this also proves is that the spoken language had vowel sounds, like the E in Armageh or Gidon, not Hamagadawan. So instead of inventing new sounds, we can look at ancient transliterations, Greek, Latin, etc., as snapshots of how the Hebrew was actually pronounced at the time. We don't need to do guesswork and patchwork. We know what it sounded like based on transliterations. So here we have Harmageddon. It's just the Greek spelling out the Hebrew Har Megiddo. Same sounds, different alphabet. The sound carries over.
Right, you see it. Harmageddon. Harmageddon. It isn't Harmagadawan. It isn't Babalawan.
Right.
Imagine some of these names. We had to change so many names. This dude's name was Kakak.
Yeah, I know.
We're not calling you Kakak.
No, Isaac. No, Isaac is the worst one. Isaac. We know Isaac. We all know the word Isaac, the name Isaac. In Lashawan Qadash, it's Yatazakak.
You get a little kid
Isaac from that.
Right. And if you have a son or a daughter, why would you want them calling you that? Let's say your name was that, and your daughter's like, Yatazakak.
All right.
Bro, you're getting your kids taken away. Let's keep going. Go ahead.
So there's no F sounds in the ancient spoken language. That's another thing we've heard.
Uh-oh.
So what about Joseph? Joseph, how do you say Joseph in Lashawan Qadash? Yah, what's up?
Hey, yo, what's up?
Yeah, yo, what's up? Joseph somehow turns into Yah, what's up? Bro, it would take someone a million years to figure that out without, if someone were to translate, give multiple choice. What word comes from, Joseph? Is it A, Yosef, Broseph, yo, what's up? Or anyway, Genesis 30:24. And she called his name Joseph and said, the Lord shall add to me another son. The Hebrew, as we see right here on the screen, says Yosef. Let's see if this is accurate through transliterations. Or let's see if the transliterations say Yahwasap.
The Greek Septuagint is clear. It literally says, yo, this is the Greek Septuagint, 300 BC-ish, circa. Same verse. Look at the spelling. Look at the alphabet. Look at the letters. It's Yosef. Remember, you guys said that only sounds in the Paleo Hebrew was ah and I. Well, transliteration shows they heard and knew the F sound, the F sound. The Latin Vulgate, Iosef. If the name were Yahweh, the Latin wouldn't say Iosef. It would show the ah and the wah, but it doesn't because that sound isn't in the name. Why are we showing these ancient transliterations? This is centuries before then the queued and the diacritic marks. So what happened? This is very important. If you guys don't remember anything, I know some people here that are watching that will say, and it's still Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. That's fine. But just don't be oblivious, uninformed, and ignorant. Don't be unintelligible. What happened? How did the LQ furnish the name Yahweh for Joseph? I'm going to show you guys what happened. Everybody listen close. Lashawan Qadash proponents treat every vav like it must sound wa. But that's not how the language works. In words like Yosef, we see the va functioning as a vowel carrier, given an O sound, not creating a new wa syllable. So yes, the letter for wa or vav is in the consonants for the name Joseph, But the fact that transliteration shows that the wa sound was not carried over, it shows you that they knew, we knew the rules of the grammar, the rules of the language, that some consonants act as vowel carriers. So every time you see the wow or the vav, you do not give that sound. You have to know if it's carrying a vowel or not. So that's what they didn't understand, the proponents and creators of the One West Lashawan Qadash. In words like Yosef, the wa is functioning as a vowel carrier, giving an old sound, not creating a new wa syllable. We know this because ancient transliterations like the Greek Septuagint, the Latin Vulgate, preserve the pronunciation Yosef, not Yawasab. So forcing a wa sound every time you see the wow isn't reading the text, it's misunderstanding how Hebrew actually works, my boy. Y'all did that because y'all don't understand it, didn't understand it, and still don't understand it. 7, Ruth is Ruwath. Ruth is Ruwath. This kills 2 birds with 1 stone, Hassad. How do we know? Turning Ruth into Ruwath shows the same mistakes, Hassad, that they made with Yawasab. They see the vav and they think it should have the wuh sound in there. This is also going to show you that it's a vowel carrier given the oo sound here in Ruth. So watch how it gives the oo sound, and how do we know it's simply root, not Ruwath? This also shows that they're misunderstood on how Hebrews work, syllables and vowel carriers. This is how it's pronounced in the Hebrew. Root, you see the pronunciation, Ruth. So the Hebrew has it right. When you understand transliterations, you see how close the English can match the Hebrew. We thought Ruth was an English word. Ask the Israelite, is Ruth an English word? Yes, it's Ruwath. No, Ruth is just the exact sound that you're getting from the Hebrew. Look at the Greek Septuagint, how it says Ruth. Literally break it down, Ruth. R sound, R, oo, double O, sound, the oo sound, and then they have the T. Root or root. It's not Ruwath. So you hear the oo sound, further debunking Lashawan Qadash, and the Latin Vulgate. The Latin Vulgate literally spells it like English, Hassad. Root. This is the Latin Vulgate. You'll read every word on here.
He's just about to say you can't recognize a single word on here except Ruth.
Right. You'll be like, QA, except it perant, exeres, Moabitidas, Koram, Una, Vocabatur, Orpha, Orthara, Ruth. That's how it sounds, bro. It's very simple. Number 8, you can pick it up here. Ephraim is Aparium.
Yeah, Ephraim equals Aparium, everyone, in Lashawan Qadash. So this correction also proves the E sounds and the F sounds. Ephraim or Ephraim sounds in the ancient Hebrew spoken language, which they purport. You know, it's at this point, I know if people are, you want to hold on to what you believe and hold on to what you've been taught. But what do you do when you realize that you were taught wrong? You just, just want to willingly be ignorant? Genesis 41:52, and the name of the second called he Ephraim. For God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Here's the pronunciation, literally right there. Ephraim. Or Ephraim. Nothing even closely sounding remotely to Parium. Here's in the Greek Septuagint. Look, it doesn't start with the alpha. It doesn't have the alpha symbol, the first letter in the Greek alphabet. It doesn't say it says It has the E symbol. I can't remember the name of it. Ephraim. Basically the exact same pronunciation.
Even the English is closer to Hebrew than Lashawan Qadash. Duh.
Sad. Isn't it sad that all these Romance languages, these European languages, are closer to their pronunciation of Hebrew words than Lashawan Qadash? Let's keep going. So here's the Vulgate, Genesis 49 and 52. Nomen, name. I know that. Kyoke Sekundi Apalavit Ephraim. It literally, just like Ruth, is spelled the exact same. It's the exact same thing in Latin as it is in English. And the pronunciation is the exact same as it is in Hebrew and English, right here in Latin. Ephraim. Together, it's Ephraim. Oh, boy. Okay. Benjamin. Now we have the word Benjamin. Benjamin means, apparently the correct pronunciation of Benjamin is Banayamyam. Banyamyan is how apparently Benjamin came about. Its root is Banyamyanyan.
Yeah, it's teriyaki sauce. Banyamyan.
Right. So and it came to pass, Genesis 35 and 18, as her soul was in departing, for she died, that she called his name Benoni. What would that be in Lashawan Qadash? Banayanaya. Banayanaya. Okay. Someone help me out in the chat. What is that in Lashawan Qadash? Benoni.
I can pull it out right here. We got a trusty Lashawan Qadash manual called the Hebrew Israelite Bible. What is this? Genesis 35 and 18?
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see if this is adding to the Bible again. Genesis 35 and 18. Yeah, it's Bun Awanaya.
Banawanaya. Bro, do you know how many times your tongue would twist in ancient Israel if that's how we talked? So
Bro,
she called his
go
name
ahead.
Banawanaya, apparently, or Benoni is what it says. But his father called him Benjamin. Here we have the pronunciation in Hebrew, Binyamin. Right there. Doesn't even sound remotely close to Banyamyan or Banawanaya.
Also proves the E sound in Benjamin
Yep.
in the language.
Here it is in the Greek, in the Septuagint. Does it say anything closely relating to Banyamyan? No.
Banayamayan.
It says we have the B, N, Ben, Benamin, Benjamin.
Yeah. Be, ni, amin. Benyamin. This is not bun. They didn't hear Bunyamayan. The Latin Vulgate, Benyamin. Same thing. Benyamin. We hear the E sound and we don't hear anything close to Banayamayan. So all praise to the Most High. That is going to wrap it up for that. I want you guys, though, to go and study that presentation for yourself. It's in the description box. Study that presentation for yourself and ask yourself, why is English closer to Hebrew than Lashawan Qadash? The Hebrew word Ephraim, I'm sorry, the word Ruth, the word Ephraim, the word Benjamin, the word Joseph. All of these words, Israel, they're closer to the Latin, which are closer to the Greek, which is closer to the Hebrew. All of these transliterating from the Hebrew, coming with the same sound, and here this 1960 invention of a language just is, the polar opposite.
Yeah.
So at this time, we'll open it up for questions, comments, and smoke. Go ahead, Assad.
Yeah, I wanted to say this exactly the point you just made. Why, if this is a language that is, at least 3,000 plus years old, don't we see anything prior to 60 years ago about it? I'm not even asking you to go back 1,000 years. You can't even go back 250 years. You can't even go back 500 years. You can't even go back to barely the 1900s. There are people alive right now, millions of them, hundreds of millions of people potentially billions, that are older than Lashawan Qadash, that are older than
Mm.
this language. Yet you're saying Moses spoke this language. Yet you're saying Jesus Christ spoke this language. Yet you're saying Jeremiah spoke this language. It's just not true. And I'm sorry that it's not true, but hey, it is what it is. So at this time, again, we put the link in the chat. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to defend Lashawan Qadash, hey, listen, if there's anything you can learn from, or anything you can at least accept from Priest and myself, is we don't have an issue admitting that we're wrong. So if you can come on here and show that Lashawan Qadash is correct, I would love for you to do so. And I'm not saying that like, passive aggressively or like in a arrogant way. I would be interested in hearing you try to prove it. We're not going to overtalk you. We're not going to disrespect you. I just want to see some evidence. And it's funny, the other day, matter of fact, can I show what happened when I asked for some evidence of Lashawan Qadash?
Yeah. They wanted you dead.
Yeah. Okay, let me show y'all this. Oh man, let's see. Let's take a look if I can find this right here. One moment. Okay. I'll pull it up here in a minute, but yeah, we would just like to see some evidence. That's all. Why is there a problem with asking for evidence of something? I think that's when you start to see the signs of some red flags is when, here, I'll share my screen. Look at this. So I put on my Facebook, the other day. What are you can't really see it in the background. I said, matter of fact, what is the strongest evidence / proof that Christ's name is Yahweh Shai? And, I had like 407 comments. No one gave any evidence at all, just conjecture. But there was one brother who gave something else other than evidence. He gave me the prayer that he was going to pray that night. And his prayer was, let's scroll down a little bit. Matter of fact, let's see if we can do this. Okay, that didn't work. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know why it's doing this. Most relevant. If I can't find this in like 10 seconds, we're just going to get out of here. I literally just had it too. Hold on, y'all. Look what this brother said. I believe this is a Great Millstone member too. Or maybe like a wannabe Great Millstone member. Let me see if I can find this. He said, unbelievable. It takes me this long to find a comment. Yeah, who cares? He said, I hope you die, Assad. Who cares? Whatever. I'm alive. I'm not going nowhere. All praise to the Most High. So, if you guys got any questions, let us know. If not, we will wrap momentarily.
All right. That's right. It's about elevation, escalation. It's about elevation, escalation, vertical mobility. Vertical mobility.
We got the brother Ronan in the back chat. What's going on, Ronan? You have a question or a comment about the Lashawan Qadash?
No, well, actually, I have a question. Kind of. I have to admit that everything that you guys are saying makes sense. The sounds of the words carry over when they are translated or transliterated. That makes a lot of sense to me. And at the same time, though, I think that it's perfectly fine if Esau speaks Yiddish. I think it's perfectly fine for us to speak Lashawan Qadash just out of culture. I don't think that's necessarily wrong, even though I do have some pushback. So I have 3 scriptures in mind. And when you synthesize these scriptures and you bring them together, how do you reconcile them? The first one would be, we see through a glass darkly, right? But when he that is perfect is come, then shall we know. That verse. And then the verse in Zephaniah, where it says, I will turn to the people a pure language. And then the third scripture would be Hosea. They shall no longer call me Baali, but they shall call me Ishi. So all three of those scriptures are pretty much saying we don't have the 100% truth, which, because of this class, Apostle Tahar would have to agree that he doesn't have 100% truth. He has 99% truth, but not 100, because the Hebrew, even he himself says, could we be wrong? Yes. So he understands that there's a possibility that he could be wrong. Therefore, he's admitting that he doesn't have 100% truth by showing doubt. That's showing doubt. So the point is how do you rectify these scriptures? How do you rectify it? Because the Hebrew that you're teaching us, how do you know that that is the pure language, that that is actually the tongue of creation, that that's the tongue of angels? I don't think that even the Hebrew that we have, that you're demonstrating, I don't think that that is the pure language, or otherwise the scriptures wouldn't say that. So how do you rectify all those three things?
Well, I'm going to deal with, I don't know if they'll be in order, but you mentioned 2 Corinthians 3 when Paul says, we all with open face beholding as in a glass. Contextually, that has nothing to do with linguistics. This is about, the inward man and being renewed in the ministration of the Spirit. That has nothing to do with, what language to speak. Paul, when he wrote that, spoke Hebrew very well. So that has nothing to do with the Hebrew language. Zephaniah 3, this is an interesting question. So it says in verse 9, for then, after the Lord gathers the nations and pours upon him the wrath of his of his anger, that then he will turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent. Now, two things. One, it's not going to contradict itself, the Bible, in this particular instance. It's not going to do that. Because it says, whoever shall call upon on the name of the Lord shall be saved. That's what it says. So that would mean that people would have to know the name of the Lord in order to call upon it to be saved. So then the question then begs, well, what is Zephaniah 3 referring to when it says that at this time, God will turn to the people a pure language that they may all call upon him? Yeah, everyone. That doesn't mean that those who need to be saved wouldn't know the language, or that the language would need to be completely revived and no one would speak it. This is so that everyone can know the Lord's name. Anything you want to say on that, priest, or no?
Yeah, Isaiah 19.
Yep.
I know you're familiar with that, Ronan. The language that we would speak the language of Canaan, so there would be a purified version of the Hebrew at the end of days. And something, Ronan, you saying that I know this is right. How do we know it's right? Because for one, the Bible says that in the end times we would speak, some of us will speak the true correct language. For two, we have ancient transliterations proving our pronunciation. And for three, these things are just objectively true. These things are just objectively true. So we can't say, oh, well, I know it's true, but I want to practice the wrong way. I don't want to practice the right way. I want to practice the wrong way because we made up something wrong. So let's keep on perpetuating and propagating the wrong shit we created.
Yeah, why do that? Why do that, brother? Why, if Lashawan Qadash, one second, brother. If Lashawan Qadash is objectively incorrect pronunciation of Hebrew, why continue pronouncing words wrong? What's the point?
Right. I mean, that's on them. You know what I mean? Basically, it just comes down to tradition and culture, which is perfectly fine. It's not a sin. Again, the Esau speaks Yiddish.
Wait, real quick though, is being wrong? Yeah, we condemn that too. But is being wrong smart or stupid?
It's definitely stupid. I'm not saying that it's smart. I'm just saying that if people want to keep up with their traditions and their culture, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine for them to do so.
For black people to be stupid.
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying, brother, just be understanding with our people, bro. If they want to speak that Lashawan Qadash, let them speak the Lashawan Qadash, man. But it is what it is. I'm not going to fight over it. That's not an issue but we have to set the record straight, though, which we have done today. The record has been set straight, but if you decide to continue,
you're right.
That's perfectly fine.
No, I'm not finna go back and forth with these guys about the language. You know what I mean? This one. I wanted this to be my last video because I wanted to emphasize that they are adding and taking away from what's actually in the text. That's all.
Yeah, and thank you for doing that, brother. So then you mentioned earlier, he that calleth upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. What is the name of Yahweh? What is his name?
That's the next class, brother. Don't worry about it.
No. Because here's the thing, right? If I want to, I might get hit by a bus. No, you know what I mean? I hope that doesn't happen. But what if that happens?
Yeah.
All right, I got Hassan's number, bro. I haven't hit you up. I'll hit you up soon, bro. I just didn't want to really bother you like that. You know what I mean?
The reason
I just want to let you know.
The reason I'm saying that is a couple things, and then I'm being totally blunt and transparent before the entire audience. The name of the Heavenly Father was intentionally, one could say hidden, because people treated it holy at one point. We didn't just walk around saying his name. And so the way that you even get the pronunciation of Yahweh or Yehovah is, and if you go on Blue Letter Bible, look at the Lord in all caps, the Tetragrammaton, look at interlinear, and look at it in the concordance, it'll tell you in the Gesenius lexicon that what would happen is the scribes would take the diacritic marks of Adonai and put them on the Most High's name, the 4 consonants, Yod, He, Wav, He. And that would let the reader know, hey, don't pronounce the Most High's name. Just say Adonai. But if you read the Tetragrammaton with the diacritic marks that are on Adonai, you would get Yehovah or Yahweh. But that's not the scribes letting you know how to say the Lord's name.
So what? Just say, what's his name? Aside, please, bro. Don't do that.
He's just trying to explain, bro. He's trying to explain it.
No, I get it. So you're saying his name is because I'm not that learned in Hebrew. When you mention diacritical marks, you mean the dots and all those other things, right? Yes. So for us, we're not there yet, bro. So just tell the sheep, tell the flock,
brother.
What is the name of our God, bro?
You gotta allow me to finish, and then you'll understand. Oh, here's why I shouldn't have interrupted. Let me go back. Yahweh, the way that you get that pronunciation is by taking the dots that are on Adonai and putting them on the Tetragrammaton. That's the scribes telling you how not to say his name, basically. Don't say the name. Just say Adonai. So now the question you asked, just be straight up. It's what is the name? It was intentionally hidden so that people wouldn't say it. Now, you can reconstruct it. You can look at the definition of what it means. And it's a very intricate process. And I say all that to say, as of this moment right now, I don't know.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Here's what I do know. That the first consonant, or the first two, it would be Yah, something. We see in Psalm 68, verse 4, King David refers to the Most High as Yah. So now the question is, well, we know what consonants are on the Most High's name. What vowels, what diacritic marks would you put on the Most High's name in order to be able to pronounce it properly? I don't know right now. And so just as thorough as we presented the Son's name, I want to be able to do the same thing with the Father's name. And that's why I'm telling you that's the next class. Because
okay, do you think that like Zion Lex, do you think these brothers know, or is it just a mystery to all of us because of the Masoretes?
Well, I'm not familiar with Hebrew and the capacity in which Zion Lex is. So when
it's not necessarily a mystery. Let me just correct something real quick. It's not necessarily a mystery. That is something that scholars are divided on, but no scholars are divided on the name of the Son.
Yeah.
So wait, hold on. Let me get this straight, bro. Let me get this straight. So we don't have the name of the Lord right now. We're divided on it. We're divided on it.
That's not what we're saying.
I'm saying that there are linguistic scholars that are divided on the name of the Father, but there are no linguistic scholars that are divided on the name of the Son. You get what I'm saying?
I understand that, but we're talking about the Father right now. We're not talking about the Son.
Right. That doesn't mean none of them who are divided have the correct name. I just said that they're divided.
Okay, so, and what are they divided? What are the names that they call on? What do they say it is? Tell the sheep. Don't hide information.
No, bro, you gotta stop doing that, Ronan. Seriously. Like, what do you think? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, you're gonna get banned from here. When we ban you, who's gonna allow you to come on here and have your free time and your playtime?
You're talking about,
I mean, this is not playtime. This is serious.
Listen, Ronan, you told the sheep, tell the sheep. You, in order to try to talk out to the sheep, you have to come on our platform in order to do so. You should have some respect in knowing that we allow you on our platform and give you a voice. So just relax.
I'm sorry if I disrespected you. I didn't take that as disrespect. I'm just like, just tell us, what is the two camps? What are they divided on? What are the two names?
It's more than just two
names.
camps.
There's not two names. Divided doesn't mean there's only two divisions. There's one side. There can be 100 divisions, bro.
You know
Okay,
what?
I'm sorry to assume that. I'm sorry,
bro. Guess what? Guess what?
Wait, hold on. Don't do it.
No,
Don't do
no,
it.
no,
Don't do
no.
it. Don't. You gonna be like that?
Yeah. Yes.
You gonna be rude? Don't be rude.
I am. Yep. We love you, brother.
All right. No, you don't.
Shalom.
Liar.
Dath Banya Sharala.
Shalom, Mark.
Shalom, bro.
Shalom, brother.
What's going down?
You got a
Oh,
question?
the Doth from Texas.
Oh, this
Texas.
What's up, brother?
Shalom, Mark. How y'all doing? All right, so I have a question, right? All right. So we understand that, or do we agree that the Paleo Hebrew was written without vowels? Can we agree to that?
In its written form?
Yeah, it is written form. It doesn't have vowels in its written form.
Yeah, but its spoken form does.
But its spoken form does, right? So we enter agreement, right? All right. So when we talk about the vocalization of the spoken Paleo Hebrew with an added vowel system there, like what we see with the Masoretic text, we can see that it changed, right? So would you say that the Masoretes were leading in pronunciation in that and vocalization in that instance to try to encapsulate how it was actually spoken versus how it was actually written before the Babylonian captivity?
They're putting diacritic marks on letters to let you know how to pronounce words. I don't know.
Yeah, they're leading.
When you say they're leading, I don't know what you mean by that.
Their main reason?
Like we just agreed that the original Paleo Hebrew was not written with vowels, but it was spoken with vowels. So after Babylonian captivity, we can see that the Masoretes put the diacritic marks there to lead you to understand how the words are vocalized and how they're properly pronounced. True, right? Do we agree with that? Okay. Is that not adding to the text? Because we cannot prove that there was a vocalization transmitted continuously throughout the history of.
They could prove it. They could prove it because they were there.
No.
Hold on.
Telling you, putting a mark on a letter, letting you know how to pronounce said letter is not an addition.
Hold on, King. Because I'm gonna give you a real world example using a loan word. So Walmart, for example, right? You speak Japanese, so I know you understand this, Assad. How do you say Walmart in Japanese?
Walmarto,
right? Yeah. So Walmarto is sounds similar, but it has an added vowel there. It's not the same as you would see from our English perspective.
For example,
same way when you get to Greek, for example, which I was talking about earlier. So when you get to the Greek, you see that the Greek doesn't actually enunciate the proper vowels that are there and present in the spoken Hebrew because it's not there in the actual written Hebrew.
Humongous problem you just made. The only reason that in Japanese Walmart is not just pronounced Walmart is because there is an absence of the T by itself sound in Japanese.
Yes.
If there was, then he would just say Walmart. You're assuming then that when translated from Hebrew into Greek, that every single time something is transliterated, that you have to add or subtract something. No, you would only have to add or subtract something if you're translating it from Hebrew into another language. If the language that you're transliterating it into does not have all of the sounds of the language that it's being translated from.
Exactly. I agree.
So when we see, for example, one second. So when we see Ephraim, for example, Greek has all of the sounds necessary to be able to fully pronounce the Hebrew word Ephraim in Greek. Are there words where you'd have to add something else on the end of it? Sure, but those are more so exceptions than rules.
Hold on. Okay, so if Greek preserves Hebrews were an instance like Iesus, right? Or how you say it, Deacon?
I didn't say fully. Real quick though, brother. I want to make this disclaimer. I didn't say fully preserved, meaning not every time does it fully preserve, but Ephraim
doesn't. Okay, so why is that adaptation considered proper because we can say that it's an adaptation and an attempt at reconstruction of the Paleo-Hebrew from a Greek lens? Why do we accept that and say that that is the proper way to enunciate or use or vocalize these names? Because we know that there is no continuous transmission throughout history, because we know that it changes because things get added and taken away.
Before we go any further, I
even-
want the
you're not
crowd,
listening.
hold on real quick. Before we go any further, I don't want the people in the audience to get this misunderstood. The author is not saying that the so-called Lashawan Qadash is the proper biblical Hebrew pronunciations,
No.
correct?
No, I'm not. I'm saying it's an attempt at reconstruction, just like every other modern Hebrew that we have today. It's an attempt at reconstruction. So
Okay, so what's closer to the reconstruction, Ephraim or Aparium?
in my understanding, I would lean towards Aparium, because I would say if I'm leaning on my own people's understanding and the way that they recognize the phonetic limits of language, then I'm leaning on that. I'm not leaning
Who transliterated the Greek Septuagint?
Yes.
We don't know.
Yes, we do.
It tells you.
Yeah.
We don't know if those are our people or not.
It says Israelites did it. That's what the history says.
But we also know that we had proselytes that were alongside us because we allowed heathens to come in.
Okay, what
know that those are scribes.
What were
We don't know,
proselytes?
because we can see the same thing about the King James Bible, right? When King James commissioned those scholars to translate certain things within the scriptures, we know that they were underneath already a form of theology that they inserted within the text. That's why you see words like Easter there, so on. So you have to apply the same thing when you talk about reconstructing the language. It's
absolutely not even close. So let me just ask this. You said, well, one, I want to just highlight this, brother. When we ask you these questions, and other people as well, there's a lot of conjecture. There's a lot of, well, it could have been this or it could have been that. There's no historical source that would substantiate anything that you just said just now.
And there's no historical
there is one source that I will. But
every scholar, hold on, let him finish, because every scholar in transmission, in textual criticism, agrees that it was Israelites who translated our Hebrew manuscripts into the Greek Septuagint. If you want to lean on the pronunciation of your own people, then how did they transliterate all these Hebrew words, such as Ephraim, as Ephraim in the Greek from Hebrew, not Aparium, and this is 300 BC, and you said you would rather lean on a horrible, futile attempt at reconstruction in a modern invention called Lashawan Qadash instead?
Yeah, you know why? Because it's the same thing that Ronan just brought up. Like when you talk about Yiddish, for example, it has its own academic lens. It has its own scholarship, and no one questions or tries to deconstruct that language from the small hat community. No one tries to do that. But when it comes to the Lashawan Qadash, it's written by our own people. It's our own people attempt at reconstructing the Paleo-Hebrew. We know that there are schools in Dimona that the small hat community tries to go to understand how our language is actually spoken. So we have our own standard of scholarship there. So yes, I would lean on our own community's understanding of vocalization, because I know for a fact that there is no continuity with vocalization throughout the periods of time from when the actual Paleo-Hebrew was written to when it was.
You think it's smart? Let me say this last thing.
Wait.
Let me say this last thing. Hold on. You think it's smart? You think it's smart? Hold on. I have to. I don't want to forget this. You think it's smart to lean on a made-up language, and the language isn't even predicated or based on any ancient pronunciation, just made up.
Just because black
people did it.
It's not just made up. It's not just made up, because we can look on a phonetic level on how these words are actually vocalized.
Okay.
We look.
Show it right now.
I'll put on. I want to put up some Hebrew, and I'm going to see if you can parse it and explain to us what this word is and your justification for coming to that.
Oh no, I'm not a Hebrew scholar, King. I'm just speaking from a.
You don't have to be a scholar to show us how the hell a Lashawan Qadash word phonetically matches what we see in the ancient text.
hold on. This is what I'm gonna say. From a former student and a former member of Genesis, I can say that when we were learning Lashawan Qadash in certain classes, that especially when dealing with me and my brothers here in Texas, and we were talking to Ariala and we were speaking to other scholars, when we were learning these things, we were learning about the phonetics of the Hebrew language. And we were seeing that the ah, the ya, the ba, the da, just like how a baby speaks, is the same way that you will enunciate some of these letters in the Paleo Hebrew.
I gotta stop you there, Doc. Two things. One, you're basing a child doesn't know how to walk. A baby doesn't know how to poop properly. It has to be potty. A child has to be potty trained. They have to wear diapers. They vomit.
That has nothing to do with vocalization, though, King.
Exactly. That's the point. You're now using, well, you know, a baby says ba and da and ra. A baby also poops on itself. And a baby also eats its boogers. And a baby also wouldn't be able to live without its parents' supervision. So you basing
learns to speak from it.
One moment. You basing this ancient language off of how baby sounds by going goo goo gaga. They also say goo goo gaga. So should we? Ooh is I guess it's.
And what are they?
There's ooze and
what are they attempting to say about?
One moment.
What are they attempting to?
One moment.
What are they attempting to vocalize?
One moment. I really don't want to mute you, but you got to stop interrupting me. Now that just kind of shows the level of so-called scholarship that Lashawan Qadash provides, with the fact that you have to now cite infants and their lack of vocalization as evidence of vocalization. Number one. Number two, we all saw what happened when Ariala spoke to someone who actually has some familiarity with the Hebrew language. It was completely embarrassing. I was embarrassed for him, and I don't even like him. That's how bad it was. So all of that I say to say, you don't know respectfully, because I didn't know what I was talking about with Hebrew. And I unfortunately was taught wrong by people who were also taught wrong. And I say that to say that Lashawan Qadash is objectively wrong. Now, you said something earlier. You said to show you a source about the Septuagint. This is the Britannica. And the name Septuagint, from the Latin Septuaginta, 70, was derived later from the legend that there were 72 translators, 6 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, who worked independently to translate the whole and ultimately produce identical versions. Do you have any source that would show me otherwise?
I'll read it. So my whole thing is this right here. It says the name Septuagint from the Latin Septuagint 70 was derived from. Okay, just check it off the screen. Bring it back up, King, because I'm trying to read it. Because I wanted to point one thing out on that. I would say that we don't know if these are scribes that are writing these, that, like I said, that were proselytized, that were heathens that were brought in, or these are actually our people. Like that's my whole thing, because we can understand that, like I say, when you're underneath a certain philosophy of theology, we know that sometimes where
do you see proselyte here, sir?
I'm saying we don't know if that's the case.
What do you mean we don't know if what's the case?
It says 6 of each of the 12 tribes of Israel work independently to translate the whole, right? So we don't know if those are the 12 tribes that it's talking about right there, or in fact the authors of this, or if they actually commission scribes on their behalf to do so.
So you rather say that history, the sources are lying just so you can hold on to a fake language from 50 years ago.
Sources are lying, King. I'm not saying the sources are lying. I'm saying I'm unsure.
But you're sure enough to say that Aparium, which there is nothing linguistically you could cite to justify.
I said I would lean on it because it's from my own people. I never said that it was right, watch
this, Assad.
I'm going to reiterate something. What he's saying, everybody, is he doesn't lean on Aparium because it's backed by phonetics or any linguistics or anything or any historical record whatsoever. He's not citing that. He's saying, but because some black people from Bedford-Stuyvesant speak it, that now he's going to lean onto it.
Hold on, Hassad. What you can't do is try to limit it to just that, when prior to this whole reconstruction or decommissioning of the Hebrew that we've grown to learn to speak, that we've dealt with throughout our communities, because I've been being a Hebrew Israelite since 2014. And so you're not going to sit back and say that you didn't praise it, that you didn't say that this was it, that you didn't use it in your everyday speech. You're not going to say that.
I was wrong. Yes, I am.
Hold on. And then you're not going to say, and then try to belittle it. No. Instead,
I am going to
how about
belittle it.
this? Hold on. Instead of belittling
I belittle it. I denounce it. I disavow it. I will belittle
do
it.
the smile has denounced Yiddish?
I don't know and I don't care.
Okay. So
Well, yes, they do. Yes, some of them do actually.
I'm not talking about Sephardims. I'm talking about the Ashkenazim. So when we talking about the Lashawan Qadash as its own academic standard within its own linguistic lens, we can see that it's prevalent with. And
who gave it an academic standard?
Hold on.
There is no academic standard with
Hold on. The academic standard that we learned when we was in Genesis came from former members of Sakari. That we can say for sure. So
that's not an academic standard.
Hold on. We subscribe to our own academic standard from leaders from the former Sakari that we still had communication with. And I won't get on this stage and lie and say that we did not uphold those people as scholars. We're not going to say that we did not uphold Ariella as a scholar. We're not going to sit up here.
Yes, I am. Yes,
hold on.
Yes, we are.
I'm not going to act like
Yes.
back in 2014.
Hey, listen,
I'm not going to act like back in 2014. I'm not going to act like
will.
back in 2014 when I was trying to become a member of Sakari that Deacon didn't send me an actual video from a whole nother brother that was on YouTube breaking down how to properly deal with the grammatical structure of the Lashawan Qadash versus the modern Hebrew.
Okay, and what you learn? Okay, so what you learn? Real quick. If we did all that and you got all that, what did
for now, we out right now. Sit back and deconstruct it and act like it's nothing.
Show us right now.
I would rather lean on that because it comes from my own people.
Okay.
On an approximation from another lens from another people.
Since you learned
Deacon, can you agree that there is no unbroken chain of vocalization from the period from when the
I gotta mute you, bro.
You're yapping too much, bro.
Right now, you're muted, my bro. The point is this: I want you, with all the Lashawan Qadash that you've learned, to explain to me why. When you say Yahushai, you would. Matter of fact, we started with the word aparium. I want you to show me why aparium is not even remotely close to ancient transliterations. Explain to everybody why aparium isn't remotely close to ancient transliterations in the New Testament, in the Greek Septuagint, and in the Latin Vulgate. I'm going to unmute you, and we want you to explain that, please.
All right, I'm unmuted, right? And this is what I'm going to say. Every single transliteration that you have today is an attempt of reconstructing the written Paleo-Hebrew, not the spoken Paleo-Hebrew, because the spoken Paleo-Hebrew was spoken with a vowel system that was lost in translation. We know that for a fact, because we know that it was not unbroken from the time that it was spoken to after the Babylonian captivity. Even the writing system changed at that time. So I'm not
answer the question. What is the difference between a translation and transliteration?
A translation versus a transliteration, the words in which are being used, you can look at the grammatical structure and see the vocalization, you can see the phonetic lens, you can see all that within a translation. It's just one word. A transmission means that this is how it's properly pronounced.
No, a transliteration.
Not the definition of the word. Like when we go to the lexicology on Blue Letter, for example, that's the definition of the word. When you talk about
listen, let's slow down. Let's slow down. What is a transliteration?
A transliteration is the way the word's spoken.
No, it's the way it sounds. It's the way it carries over to another language.
Like I said, the way the word
is spoken. So when the Greek Septuagint is transliterating Ephraim into Greek, do they carry it as aparium or do they carry it as Ephraim?
They carry it as Ephraim, but let me ask you this.
Hold on.
Wait. Hold on.
Does Greek also, what about ayan in the S sound? Does it
have let's stay on Ephraim. Let's go to Syriac.
What about other words? What about other words?
Wait, hold on, brother. let's just stay on Ephraim real quick. So you admit that the Greek translators in 300 BC, when they seen Ephraim in Hebrew, they carried it over into the Greek and it sounded like Ephraim, correct?
I'm going to say that that's how those people that speak Greek would have enunciated it. I'm not a scholar in Greek. I'm gonna say if I go to Blue Letter and I press the listen to button, that's how it's gonna sound.
Okay, perfect. Why didn't they transliterate it anything close to Aparium?
I couldn't tell you that, King.
Why didn't the Latin translators translate it anything close to Aparium?
Once again, I'm not a linguistic scholar.
Why didn't the people who translated in Syriac?
What I keep saying,
okay.
You can't prove that vocalization.
Who wrote the New Testament? Who wrote the New Testament?
Deacon, I ain't gonna let you do that. You cannot.
No. Who wrote the New Testament?
You cannot prove, and you have not proved that vocalization was unbroken. You can't prove.
I just did, and I'm going to continue to do it. But who wrote the New Testament?
How you gonna prove
who wrote the New Testament?
Come on, man.
Who wrote the New Testament?
How you gonna prove that vocalization was unbroken? How you gonna prove that, King?
I'm establishing that right now.
Because we know, like I'm in Texas, right? I'm in Texas. We know that the way that we speak down here is
this is in Texas.
Up there. It's not.
This is in Texas.
Wait, listen.
This is in Texas. These are ancient. I'm not from Texas. I'm from Florida. But listen,
I'm just showing you the
way who wrote the New Testament.
Who wrote the New Testament? Jews wrote the New Testament. Everybody know that. What are you talking about?
Okay, perfect. And how did they transliterate the Hebrew word Ephraim into Greek?
What you mean? How did they transliterate it? Like, what mechanism did they use? I'm not a scholar, bro.
What did it sound like? What did it sound like when they transliterated it? When John transliterated Ephraim from Hebrew to Greek.
Why y'all so stuck on this word Ephraim? Why y'all won't deal with no other?
That's an example of showing you. Let me explain why. Give me 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds.
Hey, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds, but I want you to answer this question before I get the 30 seconds.
Why
y'all stuck on Ephraim so bad and y'all won't go to any other word when we know that
you can't get past this word?
You can't get past Ayan. You can't get past Ayan. You can't get past.
All right, so give me my 30 seconds. Give me my 30 seconds. I picked a random word. I literally dug into a hat and picked a random word, and we're gonna camp out here all night. Why? Because you can't get around the absolute objective fact that when the Hebrew word for Ephraim is transliterated, meaning the sound is carried over to other languages, multiple ancient languages, it still sounds like Ephraim in every language and not Aparium. Why? Because Aparium is a fake made up language, a fake made up word that you want to hold to because you've been indoctrinated. And even though the evidence is in front of you, you want to stay blinded.
Hey, nah, bro. I'm just saying, I would rather lean on the understanding of my own people, my own people's academic standard, learn from my own people, versus leaning on Eurocentric, white, small hat community people on the way that because we know that you're using right now blue that you got to pull up on the screen. We know this ain't our people. We know this not our people. So we know that all this that we talk about, that's why when I called you last time when I spoke to you, you brought up Iesus. You don't want to talk about Iesus because you want to talk about Ephraim. But I looked up Iesus after I got off the phone with you, and there is no SH, and there is what is this? This Hebrew character, it don't translate over into the Greek. I had to look that up. So we in certain instances for certain words that it does not translate over well from the Hebrew to the Greek. So we know that.
That's true.
Now it's just
That's true. That's true. But Hassad, you brought that up, but Hassad already addressed that earlier. Some words may not give you the exact sound, but there are some words that give you the exact sound. Such as what? Such as Ephraim, such as Daniel. Such as Daniel. So let's just deal. Since you brought up
you just admitted the point. That means that the vocalization that you're sticking to, it just comes to your matter of preference. You prefer the way that these words from these scholars are pronounced, because you cannot prove. You just admitted you defeated yourself by saying, "Nah, it ain't perfect, but it's closer than a
You're not
Lashawan
listening at
Qadash."
all.
Now, hold on, wait. Da'at, repeat what I just said, please.
You said the Hassad already went over it, that certain words from the Hebrew does not translate over well into the Greek. We know that. He just,
That's not what I said. I said some
I'm
words
paraphrasing.
don't transliterate exactly. And then what else? What else did I say?
You wanted to go to Daniel. That's what you wanted to do.
It's some do, just like Ephraim or Daniel.
Yeah,
So
some do. And
stop.
that's an approximation.
Hold
That's
on.
right and exact. That does not prove a continuous,
You
unbroken
talk
chain of
way
vocalization.
too much and you listen way too little. So let me just say this very simply. There are some words in Greek or in any language that when you transliterate into another language, the full sound is not going to be communicated, but the essence is. So you bring up Yesu and how there's not a sh, there's just the S. That's not number one. This is probably the most important thing. One, there's nothing even remotely resembling Yahweh Shai there.
Yeah, why? If it was Yahweh Shai, why didn't they put the sh there?
Because it's not in the Greek grammatical structure. From
Okay,
what
is Jesus closer to Yahweh Shai or Yeshua?
I would say, since there's no sh, we don't know.
Oh my God! Okay.
See, and this is why.
That's fine. Don't worry.
There's no shish there.
I like this comment, sister. Hold on, let me read some comments. Maybe you'll listen to them. If he be ignorant, let him be ignorant still. Let me read another one. He is giving me an headache. Overstimulated. Let me read another one.
Let me read another one. First, if that's cool.
He's so ready to go on a tangent. Let me read another one. Please mute him. Let me read another one. Lean not on your own understanding. I don't know if you just want to be right, so you keep going. But bro, you actually really sound very unintelligible. And I know you're a smart guy, but because you're indoctrinated to this cult, you act like you can't separate fact from fiction. Fact from fiction.
I've been at work all
So
day.
therefore,
hey,
one mic. Go ahead, Assad.
This will be one last thing, and I think this is very important. Earlier, Priest asked you what language was the New Testament, or sorry, who wrote the New Testament? In Jews, which by and large, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Luke wrote part of it. He wasn't an Israelite, but that's besides the point. John.
Hold on. Since when was Luke an Israelite all of a sudden?
Don't worry about it. We can get to that afterwards. The point being, John 11. Now, the earliest manuscripts we have of the book of John, they're in Greek. Almost virtually all scholars and academics are going to say that John wrote the Gospel of John in Greek. Maybe you could show me one that says otherwise, but the only ones that we have are in Greek, and most, again, scholars and academics say it was written in Greek. Why does that matter? Well, John, who wrote the book of John, who wrote it in Greek, when he transliterates Ephraim, what does he say? How is it pronounced, Doth?
You're going all the way back to Ephraim again.
Yes, I am. Now, can you please tell us how this word is pronounced?
Ephraim.
Right. So why doesn't it say Aparium?
Why does it not say Aparium? I don't know, bro. Because I don't speak Greek, cuz.
Right. We do know that John, one of the 12 disciples, is an Israelite, and he spoke Greek, and he transliterated this Hebrew word into Greek, and it says nothing resembling Aparium.
That's just
unless you're going to say that the author of the Gospel of John has no idea what he's talking about.
No, I wouldn't dare say that. What I would say is I continuously keep on saying that.
Bro, you talk too much, bro.
Vocalization. I'm gonna keep saying that because you cannot prove an unbroken chain of vocalization.
You're not going to be able to learn anything. You're not going to be able to learn anything.
You can prove the vowels that are there. You can prove the consonants that are there, but you cannot prove an unbroken chain of vocalization. You can't prove it, bro. You just can't, because you weren't there to hear how it was spoken. You don't know. You're leaning on how it's pronounced. How to pronounce.
You're just yapping. Like literally, you're just talking at this point. You're just talking.
No, I'm pointing out the flaws in your logic.
Not pointing out anything. You're just talking. You have the ability to speak, and you're doing so. You're not giving any sound critiques. You're just talking for the sake of
Right.
it.
So here's the unbroken chain.
You already
Here's the
agreed.
unbroken chain.
Already
Here's the
agreed.
unbroken chain. Here's the unbroken chain.
Agreed that
Here's
certain
the
persons,
unbroken chain. That's
They
your point of contention. So let me just slow it down and try to articulate this in rudimentary form. The unbroken chain is this. The Greek Septuagint was translated and transliterated by Israelites directly from Hebrew. When they seen the word for Ephraim in Hebrew, they transliterated it into the Greek sound and enunciated it as Ephraim. Exactly a perfect match, not a parium. So would you say that that's an unbroken chain right there? Yes or no?
No, because what is it tied to? Is it tied to the vowel system that the Mezerites added to lead you to how you
Okay,
pronounce?
watch this, Assad. Watch this, Assad. Here's
Septuagint?
where you're done. No. Here's where you're done. Here's where it's gonna show the whole world that we love our people and we're taking the time to suffer them even if they are totally ignorant. He just tried to say, everybody, that maybe they were influenced by a vowel system, but the vowel system didn't come into play until 800 years after the Greek Septuagint was transliterated. You see how you're done, buddy?
It's over.
No, because
okay.
I want to unpack what you just said.
I say no, but
I muted you. You can get mad at me, not Deacon. You really need to understand what just happened there. You really need to understand how cut you are right now. You just tried to say in response to when Deacon mentioned the Septuagint. You tried to say, well, maybe they're relying on a vowel system referring to the Masoretic text. The Septuagint is 300 BC. Approximately. The Masoretic text, that's 800 years before the Masoretic text, almost 1,000 years. They can't rely on a text and a vowel system that doesn't even exist yet. Can you please respond to that? Like concisely too, not by going on rants.
That's why I asked a question. Was it in reference to how it was spoken prior to the Babylonian captivity, or was it relying on the vowel system that was later added? That's what I asked.
We're asking about the Greek Septuagint, Goth.
That the Greek Septuagint is older. Okay, if the Greek Septuagint is older, and that still doesn't prove an unbroken chain of vocalization because there's no continuity within the Greek language other than you pulling up Ephraim, because we can show instances in which the Greek does not translate over, is missing certain vowels or is adding vowels. The same thing that you sit back and accuse the Lashawan Qadash of doing. But my whole stance wasn't none of this shit. My whole stance was, bro, if the Lashawan Qadash has its own academic standard within our own community, why deconstruct it? If the small
because there is no academic standard. It's a bunch of people who don't know the rules of linguistics saying yabba dabba doo. That's not an academic.
Andy Freeze. Let's get another guest on. We're gonna leave you on. One mic, Dog. We're gonna leave you on. But let's get Andy Freeze in here. Andy Freeze, you wanted to ask the question?
Yo, shalom. Wait, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Shalom, everybody. Yeah, we're here to deconstruct this boo-boo language. I just have a quick request. Can you pull up Artaxerxes, please?
The Persian?
Yes. I need him to pronounce this word in front of everybody.
In the Bible or just in English?
In the Bible.
Okay.
And then I want to see how closely related the Lashawan is to this Persian that I have in front of me.
Yep, I got it right here in Ezra. Ezra 4 and 7.
All right, so Mr. Da'ath, if you would be so kind to present how this would be pronounced in the LQ.
I'm once again, I didn't say I was an LQ scholar.
Ask me. I can speak LQ. I can speak fluent LQ. Anthony Freeze, want me to pronounce it?
Okay, Mr. Hassad, could you please present for the class how this jumble of letters would be pronounced in
Here we go. Here we go. Arath Kashasha Tha.
Hey, listen, that's better than what I've heard anybody else say. That's like,
and how would you say it in Yiddish?
In Yiddish, I don't know. I don't speak Yiddish. I don't know a lick of Yiddish, brother.
All right, so you don't speak Yiddish.
But in Hebrew, it would be Artach Shashta'a.
Artach.
So
just said, bro. Okay, cool.
And now hold on, wait, we're not finished here. Can you please scroll down to the Brown Jarvis Briggs lexicon?
Why y'all keep skipping over my point?
No, because he invited me up, sir, respectfully.
Now, I feel you, folks, but my whole point, I don't know what you're talking about right now. My whole point is that we trying to deconstruct something that belongs to our own people and then toss it to the side.
Okay, but real, the odd. I'm gonna let you express yourself, but now I want to hear what the point he was about to prove on this Artaxerxes.
Go ahead.
So, if in the Lashawan this would be pronounced Aratachashashata'a, how did we get Aratachashashata'a from where it says right there in Persian Artaxashastra? Or Shatra, rather.
Go ahead, brother. You're the Greek expert.
Well, he's asking you a question. He's asking, so in the Persian, it's Artaxashastra or Artaxashastra, but in Lashawan Qadash, it's Arakatha Shasha.
Oh, wait. Good thing I got Ariala's Hebrew Bible here. We can get exactly what. All right, let's put this up.
Yeah, because if I was
what verse is that? It's
Ezra 4:7.
I would say I know that our manuscripts and our documents was burned, and the only way that it was preserved was through Sanskrit because the Arabs had our stuff, and that was the only way we was able to reconstruct what we were speaking. So I don't know. I wouldn't know, cuz I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? I'm like I said, I'm not a scholar like that, so I wouldn't. That's just going to the top of the dome. I know that that's a fact. I know that shit was destroyed and it was preserved in Sanskrit. So maybe that's why. I mean, it is a Persian name.
Oh no, I can't wait to get this. I want to have a great laugh. Let me see. Okay.
Ezra 4:7.
Izara is how
that's Ezra, yeah.
Izara 4:7.
Yep.
Holy.
Oh no.
I want to take a picture of this and put this on the screen. It says, and in the days of Arath Ka'a Shashta.
Arashka. There's no way that I could say that.
Hey, Deacon, and you see what my whole point is, cuz I keep saying that
you're asking us if we see the point?
The LQ got its own linguistic standard, its own academic lens.
Yeah, because it came out 60 years ago. So of course it's got its own new stuff.
Bro,
that's my whole point.
I don't want to be disrespectful.
This is it. This is it on the screen right here.
You want to deconstruct it, cool, but understand that by trampling over something that men labor for, and by saying, for instance, like it's nothing, or saying they weren't guided by the Holy Spirit, or say that the Lord didn't have anything to do with that's just made up. It's, I mean, in trying to like label it like that. Why I asked Hassad, I said I know Hassad a nerd, so I know he a Star Wars fan. You see what I'm saying? So that's like speaking one of them languages that they use on Star Wars or Star Trek or one of them, and saying, oh, shit, it got its own standards, so don't even worry about it. Well, why y'all worried about it?
Yeah, those languages are made up too, by the way.
It's like Pig Latin. Pig Latin, yeah, I mean, it's got its own language standard. It's got rules. It's pay Atenlay. See, I used to speak to my friends in Pig Latin, but it doesn't make it a credible language that people actually respect in academia and
But can you agree that it's just another attempt at reconstructing that which was written? Can we at least agree to that? It's an attempt at
No, I'm gonna explain why. They're not even transliterating. They're not even transliterating what we know to be actual facts. If they were transliterating, I can see, like the Latin Vulgate, they transliterate certain Hebrew words, especially the names. The Greek Septuagint, they transliterate Hebrew. The Syriac Peshitta, they transliterate. The New Testament, the Codex Sinaiticus, they transliterate. But then you have the Paleo Hebrew who just said, let me pull this out my behind and make it up.
So you mean to tell me that the Lashawan Qadash was not an attempt at reconstructing the vocalization? It's not.
What is
No,
it? I mean, even if it was, it's an incorrect attempt. So now what?
Hey, I'm not saying it's 100% accurate. I'm saying ain't none of them 100% accurate. All of them are attempts at reconstructing the way that these words are vocalized. You just have a preference. That's all I'm pointing out. And our preference is to lean on our own people. Y'all preference is to lean on the scholarship of people of another nation. That just is what it is.
Now watch this. See, that was a slight little dig, but it actually works in reverse.
Yeah,
watch this. No, I want to highlight something. How many times, chat, when I said anything about scholars or academics, did I make any mention of what race they were, or did I just say scholars and academics?
It doesn't matter.
I say scholar and academic, you think white person, you think small hat. That's not what I think. So you, in an attempt to try to show a dig, like, oh, you guys are just picking the scholars and academics of white Europeans. I never made mention of scholars or academics in their race. I just said scholars in your brain.
I brought this up to Deacon. When I called Deacon on the phone. I told him when he was talking to Zion Lex, because I was there when we had Kemet on trial. And I can tell you for sure that Jabari does not agree with Dr. Reggie on the pronunciation of certain words coming from the Metu Neter. And he tried to say that Yah was preserved in the Metu Neter. Now, I didn't agree with that. I was like, okay, well, you're going to have to show me that because I'm not a Metu Neter scholar. But I can tell you for the ones who claim to be Metu Neter scholars like Dr. Reggie and Dr. Jabari, that they do not agree on the vocalization of the Metu Neter. So even within their own community, they have a certain academic standard and they aren't in agreement on certain vocalization of certain words. So there is no way, and this ain't no fucking rant, that you can sit back and try to say
language, angry black.
Oh yeah, my bad, King. All it down.
Hey, let me ask you this: according to Paleo Hebrew,
yeah,
your name is the end of your name is Yasha Allah.
Yeah, Yasha Allah,
and it's supposed to be the ah at the end is supposed to give the aleph, right?
Yeah, it's the Allah. Yeah.
But there's not an aleph at the end of Israel in the biblical text. The consonant is not there.
It depends on how you want to pronounce it, Deacon. It's Da'at ban Yashra Allah or Da'af ban Yashra Allah. Like it don't really matter to me. That was just something that I did when I was in Genesis. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying there's no aleph at the end in the Bible.
The author is basically saying, I know that this is BS, but this is how niggas.
I'm not saying I ain't saying it was BS. I'm saying I know it's our own.
Hey,
it's cool.
when Jesus Christ was on the cross and he said the word God, did he say Allah or anything close to it?
I mean, he said Eli. That's what I was taught.
Eli, not Eli. He said Eli. Is that close? Why didn't he say Allah?
I was taught Eli. That's the way that I was taught. That's the way I learned from y'all. If y'all saying that that's not it now, then I mean,
just read it, Matthew. Just read it, Matthew, and read it in Matthew
26 and what?
Let's pull it up.
But like I say, this going all the way back, Deacon. You know.
No, we're going all the way forward, nigga. We're not moving backwards. We're going forward. We ain't moving backwards.
You're not going to erase all of what I learned, and then all of a sudden tell me that what I was learning was just.
This goes into Gentile salvation, and not just Gentile salvation. Other doctrines that we know are right, but because we dedicated 20 years of our life to it, especially me, we don't want to come off of it. That's bad Bible. Let's read this and see what the Messiah said the word God sounds like in Hebrew.
Matthew 27:46. And about the 9th hour, Yeshua cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, 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 lama sabachthani.
You see that? So it ain't no Eli, Eli.
He almost said Eli, Eli himself because he know that's how that we was taught how to say that.
I mean,
wait, what? So the Messiah almost got it right.
No, I'm saying Hassad almost said Eli himself because that's how we was taught how to pronounce that.
We was never taught Eli.
I thought it was no E's in Lashawan.
Ooh. How are we taught Eli?
But we not. He didn't ask me how it was pronounced in the Lashawan Qadash. He asked me how it was pronounced in the Hebrew.
How did Jesus Christ pronounce it?
So was the Messiah speaking Lashawan Qadash?
He said, was it Allah or was it something else? I'm saying it's not Allah. I'm saying it's Eli, just like Hassad almost just said, because he know that's how we was taught to say.
Why do you have Yashar Allah, not Yashar Eli or Eli?
Yeah, Yashar El. Why don't you have Yashar El?
Yashar El, because I was taught Call halal Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. I was taught that. I was taught Kwam Yashra Allah.
I know, brother, but I'm saying, but I was taught that too, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I was taught that. I understand that, brother.
That's how it was taught.
King, I understand you were taught that. I was taught that too, and I had the courage to say, "Hey, you know what? This is wrong. So I need to correct the things that I was taught that were wrong, and that I taught to others that were wrong." And if you can recognize that this is wrong as well, then you need to take the step to acknowledge that, hey, this is wrong, bro.
I'm not. Look, Hassan. I think we ain't talking about it. We ain't talking in circles. I keep pointing out that even if it's not 100% correct, right? It's of our own people.
But it's wrong.
So,
I don't care if it's of our own people.
But here's the thing. Why can't it be its own thing? Why can't it be its own thing?
Bro, it's fake.
Because it's wrong.
I said, why can't it be its own thing? Why can't the LQ be something that's a part of the Israelite community the same way that they pronounce the Metu Netzer in the Kemet community?
Watch this.
Why can't it be our own
thing?
Good
question. Now, good question. Good question. Let's answer that. Why can't it be our own? Okay, so in Matthew 27 and 46, this is a transliteration, meaning this is what they hear him saying, and he says, Eli, Eli. Now, was the Messiah speaking Lashawan Qadash when he was on the earth?
No.
What language was the Messiah speaking?
You know this. We already talked about Aramaic.
He was speaking Aramaic?
Yeah.
Click the word.
He knew Hebrew, but he was speaking Aramaic.
Well, this is Hebrew though.
Yeah.
So click the word.
What, Eli?
Yeah. You see that? Of Hebrew origin. So when he's speaking in Hebrew, what Hebrew is he speaking here? Fake Hebrew, Yiddish?
I would say whatever the lingua franca of the time was.
Hebrew wasn't the lingua franca, so he's speaking Hebrew. So which Hebrew was he speaking?
Aramaic is a variant of Hebrew, is not? It's the same linguistic family.
Well, but this is not Aramaic though. This is literally Hebrew here.
Well, it says of Hebrew origin. I mean, that's how it was translated. That's how it was written down. Like, I mean, if that is true,
the lexicon could be wrong.
No, I'm saying if that is true, I mean, we know that the Thayers and the Strongs can be wrong at times. But I'm saying if
this is true, what Hebrew is it?
I would say that it's whatever Hebrew was being spoken during the Greco-Roman period.
Was it your Hebrew? Was it the Hebrew that
I don't believe the Lashawan Qadash is, if it is a true Paleo Hebrew, if the Lashawan Qadash is even resembling anything close to the vocalization of the Paleo Hebrew, it was not spoken during the Greco-Roman period. I don't believe that.
Okay.
So when did Lashawan?
I believe that the language changed.
When did Lashawan Qadash become a language?
It was a language during the time that the Paleo was written. Because the Paleo
a language. I'm talking about the pronunciation. I'm talking about the pronunciation.
Say it again.
The pronunciation. I'm talking about the enunciation and pronunciation of the words Lashawan Qadash, not the script.
Oh, okay, not the script. Well, I would say that that's more modern. That's dealing with Cherry, if I'm not mistaken.
So less than about 100 years ago, like my brother Hagan in the chat just said, you're saying, well, why can't we just speak Lashawan Qadash? That's our own. Hebrew is our own. Biblical Hebrew is ours.
Yeah, but we're learning it. But we're learning
it. It's our ancestors. Why don't we go back to that?
Our ancestors, King. We're not going and pulling somebody from Ghana. We're not going and pulling somebody from Benin Tongo or from the Yoruba tribe and learning vocalize. Learning the way that they vocalize their Hebrew. We're leaning on the Hebrew of the Greek and us trying to listen to what Deacon is pulling up right here, because he's not going, bro. If that was the case, if that was true, why, Deacon, why you ain't go pull you a West African brother from the Ashanti tribe or from the Yoruba tribe or from the or from Ethiopia or any one of the tribes that we was taken from and see the way that they enunciate their Hebrew? Since they are closer in transmission.
Who said they speak Hebrew?
And if that's even the case, how can you be so confident that Lashawan is the correct quote unquote enunciation? I mean, like, if we're going to go with the same logic that you're using right now.
I mean, but answer my question.
What?
I don't even understand.
Question. Why didn't y'all go get y'all a brother from West Africa
Because they don't know anything about Hebrew. That's why.
Saying so you will lean on the academia of you don't know who this scholars is because you want to bring race into it aside, but we know these as white folks. So you want to lean on their academia in the way that they pronounce these words versus going to West African and see the way that he pronounce these words.
Don't misrepresent or lie to us. First of all, the Greek Septuagint is a scholarly work. The Latin Vulgate is a scholarly work. The New Testament Codex Sinaiticus and Textus Receptus is scholarly work. And Clement is an Israelite. He gave scholarly work, which is the second most extant writings outside the New Testament.
Yeah, but it's
all in those scholarly. Hold on, all in those scholarly documents, those scholarly body of works.
You read
before. Hold on, before the Nakub system came, they all are carrying and transliterating the proper pronunciations and preserving the sounds. So that's first and foremost. On top of that, we have. Hold on. That's what.
That's not true. Because we've been on Clubhouse when we were battling Christians, and that was a strong brother that came on there that was a Christian that kept correcting you on your pronunciation of the Greek, and he was correcting Gorilla too. And this is back in the day when you were Sakari.
On what Greek? On what Greek? On what Greek?
On the way that the Greek was being spoken. It was Sister Cherry. It was dang on it, G-Con.
What was the word? What was the word?
And it was
what was the word they corrected us on?
It was a couple of words, cuz I can't remember the exact word.
They corrected us on the definition. You don't even know, so why are you bringing it up?
Hold on. I know just because I don't know the exact phraseology or words you were using. I do remember them correcting you on how you're supposed to properly use the Greek. Because the syntax was wrong, and the brother was like, this is not how you use this. This is not how you speak this. And he was reading directly from the Greek manuscript. No English translation, no English letters. He was reading exactly from it, had it pulled up on the PT.
That has zero to do with my point. I'm saying we take all those ancient scholarly sources and see how they transliterate. You can't get a transliteration wrong. It's literally sounding out the word. We take all of that and we see it preserves the proper pronunciation, and that's what we go by first. That's the foundation. And that also shows your main point of contention, a chain of transmission throughout other languages and throughout time.
My whole point of contention was there was no unbroken chain of vocalization. You can read it all you want, but since you reading it from the transmission of your choice and the way that you vocalizing those words, I've seen brothers correct you on your vocalization of those words from the Greek. So for you to say that is the same way I said Jabari doesn't agree with Dr. Reggie on the mental netter, is the same way that brothers don't agree with you and Zion Lex on the vocalization of certain Hebrew words and Greek words. And I would say, so if that is true, that everything is an approximation and an attempt at reconstruction, so you cannot hold people to an academic standard of scholarship from another nation versus leaning on our own understanding as a community and saying that this is how we choose to speak amongst ourselves. The same
what
way
does the Bible say about leaning on your own understanding?
I don't want to lean on this community's understanding. What?
He just said lean on our own understanding. Hey, listen, we make some. No, listen, what you're saying, I can get jiggy with it if you said, all right, we made this up, it's ours, let's take it. But when you start saying that made up BS is more accurate in pronunciation to what we see in the Bible, then you're absolutely lying. You're a liar.
No, I'm saying it's probably more accurate than you are giving it credit to be. And I'm saying that if that is true,
find one example. Go into the Bible. You know when the Bible says, and they spoke in the Hebrew tongue and they gave it the Hebrew name. Go into one example where any of those mentions come anything close to what you guys call Lashawan Qadash today. Right now, go ahead.
Hey, I'll do that when you tell me if Dr. Michael Brown has the right pronunciation over a brother from Ashanti tribe or a brother from Europe.
Okay, all right.
I'll do it then.
Okay, so basically you're saying you're done participating.
Yeah,
right, we appreciate you, brother. Shalom.
Shalom.
All right. Let's put another link in the chat because now we on a roll. What's up, my brother Antifreeze? You see this?
All right. Yeah, shalom. I do. Yeah. See, and this is coming from, I'm 25. I dropped out at 15. These brothers have no scholarship. And it's coming from me. Right. That's absolutely absurd. Just to and I get it, like wanting to take hold of something, you know, how people are like, man, white people called us the N-word. Now we just reclaiming it. Like, but it's like, what?
Right.
Zero scholarship behind Lashawan. And I try to get people to read me a prophecy. Yo, read me a prophecy in Lashawan. All you're reading is alaba, la shabala, da ba la ba la. How do I know that that's not past tense? Because in the actual scholastic Hebrew, you can the usage of, I almost said verbs, of vowels, it allows for past, present, and future. But in Lashawan, everything is and I, which has zero, like, you're gonna be like, yo, is this a prophecy? What was Isaiah talking about? I don't know. We just gotta read in English. So what's the point of being a Hebrew Israelite? Brother, you an English Israelite. You can barely speak English.
Lord
But
Christ.
it's
Pursues the who?
Perseus the Prince, you're live.
Yeah, what's up?
What's up?
Can you motherfuckers hear me?
No, this is a
Oh,
kid
wow.
show.
This is the real nigga. Yo. First of all, this is David right here, motherfucker. I'm here, nigga. Are y'all ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Ask me anything. I'll prove this shit. I'm gonna give y'all a fucking list, yo. I'm gonna give you a list. I was born 1972. Underline 72. David stopped at 72.
Wait,
My
hold on.
birthday.
Before that, hold on, wait.
Write
I'm
down
gonna let
these schools before we argue. Write down these schools.
Before you get that off, are you familiar with West Coast rap?
Of course, nigga. I was gonna sign a death row in fucking 95.
Oh,
you were signed with Death Row?
Perfect.
You were signed with Death Row. You are perfect. Who was with Tupac? Matter of fact, who was the CEO?
Yeah.
Who was
What's up?
Who was the CEO?
Who was the CEO of Death Row?
When?
In 1995.
The CEO of Death Row? Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre.
All right, how about this? Who was with Tupac when he died? Who was with Tupac the night he died?
Suge Knight.
Good night.
What rhymes with Suge Knight? Oh, Assad, you forgot. Good night. Dang it, Assad, you messed up the punch. So let me pull this up real quick.
Oh my God. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. That was a slam dunk, Assad. You play with the game. Okay. What rhymes with Suge Knight? Okay, so somebody brought out. Watch this, y'all. I'm gonna show you guys. When somebody tries to say, no, Jesus Christ actually said Allah, Allah, and invoked the God of Islam. When people try to tell you that Jesus Christ called on Islam on the cross, watch this, y'all. I'm gonna show you how to debunk that. Called on the God of Islam on the cross. Matthew 27 and 46. Look at this, y'all. So this is what they heard him saying. This is what my brother Antifreeze was talking about when we deal with enunciating. You understand that? This is what they heard him say. Eli, Eli. They did not hear him say Allah, Allah, or that would reflect in the Greek. Let's prove that. So look at right here. This is a transliteration. And look at these words right here. This is what they heard, but they wrote it down in Greek. Look at these Greek words here. Look at it's Eli. This is how you say Eli in Greek.
Strong's G 2241. Eli.
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 If they heard Allah and wrote it down with Greek, it would have said Allah. The Greek is very capable of doing that. So let's go to the word here. And it's going to say from the root word 410. You're going to see L.
Strong's H 4:10. Ale. Ale.
So how do you say my God in Hebrew? Eli. How do we know that? Oh, because they said that's what it meant. When he said Eli Eli, they translated the transliteration. Look what it says. That is to say, my God, why has thou forsaken me? If it was Allah, then he would have said Allah ya, Allah ya. No, he didn't say Allah ya, Allah ya. He said Eli Eli. That's how you say God in actual biblical Hebrew. And then others stood by and thought he was calling on Elijah. Why? Because how do you say Elijah in the proper Hebrew? Eliyahu. I'm sorry, Eliyahu. Yeah, Eliyahu or Eliyah. There's a shortened form, Eliyah, and then there's the divine name at the end, Eliyahu. So they were thinking, oh, he's calling Elijah. Why? Because it's similar. Eli and then Eliyah. So it's the same. There isn't no Allah here or Allah. He does not invoke the God of Islam on the cross. It's very simple. He said in Lashawan Qadash, it would be Allah, though. Right.
And if I may, just very, very quickly, and I'm gonna leave y'all alone. Can I offer just one bit of quote unquote correction?
Go ahead.
So and this is why the quote unquote vowel points, right? Let me just speak fluently. This is why the vowel points are so important, because if it was Eli, it would have something called a sigol under it, which is the 3 dots, look like the Splinter Cell logo. It would be like Eli like that, but it has the 2 dots, which is, I forgot what that's called, but it makes an A sound. So instead of Eli,
like
it would be A.
Like an Eli.
Right, Eli, lama sabachthani. Which that's actually a verse in Psalm. It's like lama razabtani or something like that, somewhere in Psalm.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the root as well, the root word. That is how he pronounces it. It's crazy because when you say it in how he said it, it's gonna make it sound like it said Eli. Either way, we do see the E sound, and we do at least on the end. And if you want to go with the Eli in the beginning, then you can get that. So the reason why I say it could be Ale or L is because we see how is Daniel transliterated.
Daniel,
is it Daniel or Daniel?
I think
every
that's
time I see it transliterated is Daniel.
Yeah, I think it's Daniel, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not too much into looking at their names, but like when I read it in Hebrew, I can recognize that it's a name. But another thing too, when you guys were pronouncing Benjamin, I put in the chat it would be pronounced Binyamin because it has a chidik under it. So a chidik makes a E, which is how we render the I, right? But in ancient time, before the I sound was invented, it would be an E, so it would be Binyamin. And instead of Ephraim, because Ephraim would have a chidik, it would be Ep, or F, whatever, it would be an S sound instead of E, so because at that point you would be saying, even though I'm sure they would understand what you're saying, but you would be saying a different word.
You see? But yeah, I think at this point it's just it's abundantly clear that Lashawan Qadash is not the proper pronunciation of Hebrew. So I hope everyone learns from this. This guy keeps joining in the back chat. And just does your own research, ask your own questions, because what you're going to find out is the more logical question that you ask brothers that are the proponents of Lashawan Qadash, you're not going to get logical answers in return.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you, brother Antifreeze, and you're free to join anytime, brother.
Yeah, and I just want to say one more thing. I promise. One more thing. The one logical question you guys can ask yourself: can I read this prophecy in Lashawan and tell if it's a prophecy or if it's something past tense? That is a challenge because, again, the vowels, the U and the O sound, make it incomplete and a complete, aka perfect and imperfect, or a present participle sound. But in a Lashawan, it doesn't allow for that. So go ahead and challenge yourselves. And if you want to stick with Lashawan, that might say a lot about your intelligence. Anyway, though, shalom, everybody. Shalom, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shabrakatham.
Shalom, brother.
That shows a lot about your disobedience, rather. Okay, all praises. Well, it's been almost 2 hours and a half, y'all. We're going to go ahead and conclude this. And the recipient of today's lesson was the made-up language, Lashawan Qadash, which we call the LQ. Once you start to change and, just be truthful about the falsehoods and indoctrinations, you'll feel better about yourself. Don't be scared to stand on truth and stand on business. You understand that? Stand on truth and stand on business. This must be Rabbi Lewis. He says, get my books. No, Rabbi Lewis.
I think
do y'all subscribe to the virgin birth since the Hebrew Greek languages support it? No, the Hebrew language doesn't support it, but the Greek language in Matthew chapter 1 in a specific verse, I think it's 16 and 18, the oldest Greek we have, I believe, it does say that Mary fathered the Messiah. But even if, I yield to that, take a look at the whole story, it still doesn't make sense. Why is he mad? Why is he mad? Why didn't she tell him it was an angel that impregnated her? Why didn't he want her to? So if you want to just bank it off of one verse in the Greek language, yes, because Matthew was written in Hebrew, and we don't have that Matthew anymore. There is no document to say that the Greek Matthew we have now is predicated on the Matthew in Hebrew. So yes, there is that in the Greek from the Matthew we have that says Mary fathered Jesus. But when you look at the whole context of the story, plus coupled with 100 other verses about, the situation and how it's supposed to be a prophecy from Isaiah that was about actual sex, then that's why I take the position of, no, I do not believe in the virgin birth as Christianity teaches it. MAGA made y'all switch. What?
We got money from Donald Trump. I think is what you're saying.
Oh my God.
Trump, if you can hear me and you'd like to, no, I'm playing.
If you'd like to give
I'll take my 40 acres and a mule.
Hey, Da'ath, man, listen. A lot of brothers are starting to wake up to the truth.
Yeah, you can't stop. You cannot stop Yeshua. All right, you're not.
You want to stay behind in that cult that's dying, then go ahead, brother. You're staying behind. We're moving forward. Somebody said there is a Hebrew New Testament translated from Greek. It teaches the virgin birth. Okay, but if it's a Hebrew translation that's based off of Greek, that does not make, that's just like somebody saying, okay, let's take the Greek New Testament and translate that into Hebrew in the year 1500, and then we're gonna that doesn't give any validity. Yeah, they translated this Greek to Hebrew. That does not show or validate or prove that that is some Hebrew from the 1st century or even antiquity. The Hebrew New Testament you have is not from antiquity. It's from the medieval period, and it's from your white Jews. They switched to disassociate from.
Why do you guys just get up here and
switch to disassociate from guerrilla Hebrew? Why else all of a sudden these changes in doctrine?
What do you really think it's okay to just lie like that on the internet before God? You think you can just make these declarative statements and I don't even know who you are? And you're coming, who are you, some type of investigator?
Well, he lies a lot. He lies a lot. But I should have been blocked him, but I'm not gonna block him. If you want to stay being a liar, go ahead and be a liar. When your kids and your wife get cursed, then just think about all the lies that you said.
All right. Okay. I win with that.
Anyway, so let's end this by giving all praise to the Most High, and we're gonna end this by saying, Shalom.
Shalom.